The earliest written record of a kite tells the story of a Chinese general in 206 BC who flew a kite over a wicked emperor's palace. He marked the line to measure the distance, then reeled it in. His small army then dug a tunnel into the palace courtyard, launching a surprise attack that conquered the emperor. Today's two-line kite, as the name implies, has two lines to pilot it. It can fly nearly 40 meters high. This kite is made mainly of a lightweight nylon fabric that is waterproof and fade-resistant. It's less than 1 millimeter thick, so it's reinforced with nylon mesh to reduce ripping. The kite's other components include nylon and elastic cords and straps, fittings made of leather, rubber, aluminum, and plastic, and carbon rods. The kite maker starts with a pattern made out of pressed wood. She marks out a piece of fabric and, with a few bricks to hold the fabric in place, cuts it diagonally. In sewing terms, that's called cutting on the bias. This will stretch the fabric and help it fly. Next, she cuts more pieces of fabric, this time in a different color. This kite has 8 fabric parts that fit together like a puzzle to create a 2.5-meter wingspan. The kite's left and right sides are mirror images, so there are only 4 different shapes to cut. They range in length from 25 centimeters to 1.2 meters. From start to finish, it takes one worker about 2 hours to make this model called the Dragonfly. First, the kite maker sews the longest part, called the belly, to the other parts. She double stitches with heavy-duty nylon thread to help the kite withstand winds of up to 35 kilometers an hour. She makes tiny incisions along the belly's curved edge so she can fold it and sew in what's called tension line. Tension line is a type of nylon cord she'll sew into all the seams of the kite's lower sections. It'll give the kite some structure and help keep it rigid while airborne. The kite maker secures each line with a knot, which can later be loosened or tightened to adjust the kite's overall tension. The kite maker uses straps made of very durable yet flexible plastic to line the middle and the edges of the wings. The straps strengthen the kite, enabling it to survive crashes into trees and rocks. After all, what goes up must come down. Next, the kite maker sews a piece of leather called a fitting onto the plastic strap. It's made of leather to protect the kite's structural joints, such as the nose of the kite. It gets a leather patch as well. The kite maker uses a serrated saw to cut the 10 carbon rods to size. They're 6 millimeters in diameter and range in length from 18 to 81.5 centimeters. They form the kite's skeleton, and like bones, they're the most likely part of the kite to break in an accident. But if they do break, it's easy to replace them. A variety of molded plastic, rubber, and aluminum fittings serve a dual purpose. They join the rods together and keep them from falling out of their sleeves. Now the kite maker attaches a nylon cord called a bridle to the fitting that joins the rods on the wing's leading edge. The bridle is the kite's rudder, steering the kite to the left or right. The bridle comes off easily if you need to replace the rods. The kite maker now attaches tension lines to 2 plastic components called arrows. They're located at the kite's wingtips. She ties elastic bungee cords through the arrows to hold the tension lines in place. This makes all the fabric parts taut enough to fly. Next, she attaches the bridle to the center rod, the spine of the kite. She inserts the rod into its protective leather pouch at the nose. She inserts other rods into both sides of the wing. These give the wing its curved aerodynamic shape and help the kite stay aloft. Finally, additional rods under the wing provide more structure and support. These rods spread the kite and help keep it open. In the mood for a sky-high experience? For $250, you can buy a handmade model like this one and go fly a kite. The terms casket and coffin are often used interchangeably, but their use as synonyms is no open and shut case. Coffins are actually those 8-sided burial boxes that are narrower at the bottom. Think Dracula. Whereas caskets are rectangular. They can be made of metal, plastic, or wood. Whether the wood is ash, oak, mahogany, or something else, the casket's construction is generally the same. First, they run wood slats through a machine called a molder. This profiles the edges, carving a tongue on one side of each slat and a groove on the other. A worker applies glue to these edges, then positions the slats in a rounded vise that locks the tongues and grooves together. The glue dries in an hour and a half, bonding the slats permanently into a large curved piece. This piece will form the top and long sides of the casket's rectangular cover. To complete the rectangle, a worker now makes a V-shaped cut on each side and glues in a triangular piece of slatted wood. While a press clamps the components tightly together, he secures the end pieces in place with joint fasteners, which are like heavy-duty staples. Now a machine carves a groove into the cover's underside at the midpoint. A worker glues in a wooden piece, securing it with joint fasteners. This piece is called the bridge, and it's the point at which the cover will be cut in half later on. They transfer the casket cover to an automated machine that gives it a rough sanding, then a finer sanding. The next step is to attach a decorative molding to the base of the casket cover. This molding has a groove on the inside into which they'll later tuck the edge of the casket's upholstery fabric. A worker glues a small piece of wood in the groove at the midpoint so the groove won't show when the cover is open. Now he saws the casket cover in two, right through the bridge. Meanwhile, another worker assembles the bottom of the casket called the box. He glues together the sides and applies a bottom molding, securing everything with joint fasteners. At this point, the box is upside down. He attaches the bottom, then flips the box right side up. Now it's time to join the cover and box using 4 hinges. They spray the casket with one of countless shades of wood stain, then rub it in equally over the entire surface. The casket goes into an oven for an hour to dry the stain. Next, a worker sprays on 2 coats of lacquer with 40 minutes drying time between applications. This happens to be a high-gloss finish, but many models have a duller sheen. Once the lacquer dries, a worker attaches handles. The more expensive the casket, the fancier the features. This higher-end oak model with decorative corners has wood and metal swing handles. Other models have all-metal swing handles or fixed bars made of wood, metal, or both. The fancier caskets also have an adjustable wooden bed inside with a mechanism to adjust the height. A worker covers the bed in fabric. The base model bed is made of absorbent paper laid over a product called wood wool, which is simply shredded wood. The upholsterer lines the inside of the casket with foam, covering it with either velvet, satin, or silk polyester crepe. By folding, nailing, and stapling this fabric a certain way, she creates pleats, tufting, and other design details. Generally, the more expensive the casket, the finer the fabric, and the more ornate the upholstery. A decorative trim hides the staples. Fabric straps or metal elbow brackets hold the cover open. When it comes to how beautiful and elaborate caskets can be, the ground's the limit.